This is Daniel Smith, and welcome to Jets Guru.
Check it out.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here is Daniel Smith.
What is going on, Jet fan and Jet Guru fans out there? Thank you so much for tuning in to Jets Guru. Really just appreciate all the support and everything that you show each and every week. Just super excited about the future of the show with all the new things we're going to be bringing. By next season, we'll be going live not only on Facebook, but we'll be going live on Instagram as well. Of course, we have the YouTube page that you can check out. Jets Guru on YouTube, and we have Twitter as well at Guru Jets, which Ramon mostly takes up the duties there. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And listen, more of the same, huh? To end the season. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I think at this point we're kind of used to that feeling of just, having Tom Brady there with us. It's just something since I was about 15 years old. I've been 16 years old, whatever it was. I've been watching this guy play football. And it just seems like each and every year he just keeps doing those things. And, when you look at a franchise quarterback and you look at some of the things that it takes to be a franchise quarterback, I always try to compare those guys. And some people say, well, listen, Dan, you can't compare someone like Tom Brady. You can't compare someone like Aaron Rodgers. You can't compare all these guys to Sam Darnold. Well, why in the hell can I? Because I think that those are some of the characteristics you see early in a career. I mean, those types of guys, those are the Patrick Mahomes. Those are the Watsons of the world. When they play very good their first 4 years in their career, Russell Wilson, all these other guys, you know it when you see it. Like, what are we waiting for with the Sam Darnold thing? What are we waiting for with all these different things when it comes to quarterback? We know, we see what other teams do and what is required to be successful in this league. You need a quarterback that's most likely mobile, right? You need a quarterback who has a strong arm, who could read defenses. And the Jets seem to fail every time when it comes to picking one of these guys. And when it comes down to Tom Brady, he doesn't meet all those characteristics, right? He's not quick. He's not mobile. He does have a good arm, but I mean, he's 43. It's not his best arm that he's ever had out there on the field. But there's something to be said about leadership. There's something to be said about making quick decisions. There's something to be said about reading defenses and knowing where to go with the football. And it's so hard for me to watch guys like we saw in this playoff series, Krista, and in this run, all these great quarterbacks, and look at my quarterback and say I'm confident. Even when I looked at bad teams this year, other bad teams who have good quarterbacks, it's hard to look at them and say that my quarterback is going to be a top 10 quarterback going into next year, right? Which is what he really needs. He's coming back on his fourth year. And so it gets frustrating in that manner. The other reason I got super excited when Brady won the Super Bowl was because I don't like Bill Belichick. I just don't. I mean, he might be a great guy in real life. I don't know him, right? So I'm not saying that. But as far as our football lives, I hate that man. You understand? Bill Parcells handed the franchise to this guy because he knew that Bill would be the perfect guy to keep things rolling and keep building on the momentum which Parcells left, okay, and which he built with the Jets. And because he was too soft and he didn't know who the owner was going to be, right? He winds up writing on a napkin saying he doesn't want the job for the New York Jets. How disrespectful is that? And how tone setting is that to leave that in the wake behind a franchise? And it was big news back then, too. And you know the story from there. So I definitely dislike Bill Belichick way more than Brady. And when you look at Tom Brady's previous record, there is none. It's nothing but Super Bowls. It's nothing but 14 AFC championships. But with Bill Belichick, it's a little bit different because he did have struggles before he ran into Tom Brady. He didn't put together the best teams. Yeah, he had a little team in Cleveland, then he got moved and whatever. But he didn't have playoff and Super Bowl success like he had once Tom Brady got there. And who's to say what he would have done if Mo Lewis didn't put that hit on Drew Bledsoe? And so I think you have to give Tom Brady a lot more credit because he's done it in two different organizations, one on his first year. Imagine coming in, new playbook, new players, just chemistry issues, playing in a very tough NFC, starting with Washington's defense in the wild card game, then going and playing Drew Brees, another Hall of Fame quarterback, and then you go and play Aaron Rodgers. And here's the kicker. Every single one of those teams had a top 10 defense. So not only did Tom Brady go out there and because everyone's like, oh, the defense won Tom Brady the Super Bowl. Well, his offense put up some points too, and they were able to win the game. Okay. And it was against teams with top 10 defenses all the way through up into the Super Bowl. And so when you look at what Tom Brady does best, what does he do best? He brings leadership. What else does he do best? He brings accuracy. What else does he do best? Mental toughness. And he just knows where everyone needs to be. When you ask every single player on the team, and they ask them several times, why is the reason you got to the Super Bowl? They all say Tom Brady, without question. And they don't have to. They could say it's a team effort and we work really hard and all the other political things that everybody says because they don't want to disrespect anyone. But they know it's Tom Brady because they won 7 games the year before with nearly the same team. And here's another kicker. The players that scored touchdowns in the Super Bowl were all people that Tom Brady brought on. We're all people where he went to Arians and said, we need to bring Gronk. We need to bring Brown. We need to bring Fournette. We need to bring these guys over. I think they'd fit well in the offense we're going to run. And it's that type of leadership. It's going down and saying, oh, we're going to do, no risk it, no biscuit, whatever. But then realizing on the second half of that run there when they won, I believe it was 6 straight or something like that before going into playoffs, you have to have balance. And that's one of the things that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did not have in that game. And when you look at the Chiefs, man, they have all the talent in the world, okay? But one of the comparisons I did not like after that game was the fact that people are saying, well, look at Patrick Mahomes. He has no left tackle and he has no right tackle, and that is just a little taste of what Sam Darnold goes through on a weekly basis. Are you kidding me? You're going to compare what in a Super Bowl against a very good defense and another team that got to the Super Bowl, talking with pass rushers like Shaquille Barrett and JPP and Sue and Devin White and all these other guys, and you're going to compare that to what Sam Darnold goes through? Because what I could do in comparison to throw right back at you is the fact that Joe Flacco played with the same damn offensive line and weapons and looked better than Sam did. And it was in a shorter time frame. Someone said, well, no, that's not true. Sam Darnold played a lot better. No, he did not. It's just he played more games. I believe if Joe Flacco played the same amount of games as Sam Darnold, that he would put up better numbers and it would have looked better. And here's the thing. Yeah, Sam Darnold got 2 wins. It's a team game, whatever. But what looked better? Who looked better throwing the ball to the weapons that we have? Then you look at the interviews and you listen to the interviews of certain players, and no one's willing to commit. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, you got Mims saying, Flacco throws a real hard ball, and I clicked with him. You clicked with him. You clicked with your 35-year-old quarterback who's not going to be here next year. What about your starter? What was it about him that you guys couldn't click together? Why wasn't anyone glowingly talking about Sam Darnold like they were Deshaun Watson? You know who came up to Deshaun Watson after the season? Mr. Captain America, J.J. Watt, right? That's what they look like. Like anything he does is with gold. immediately after the game goes up to Deshaun Watson and apologize. Where did they do that for the Jets? Where were the players coming out and saying, Sam is our guy. He's our player. And we were just really bad. And we got to do a better job at playing football because he is the guy. He's going into his fourth year. He's going to be the leader of this team. Where is the support? Where's the fire that you see for guys like you saw for Deshaun Watson? It's because people have their doubts about Sam Darnold like we do. And you look at the commitment from the organization, you're coming up on a pivotal period, and you still haven't had the organization come out yet and say, this is our guy. Okay? I don't care what you say, this is our guy. They say we like him. A lot of potential. He could do this, he could do that. Excellent leader, whatever. But you don't say he's going to be starting for the New York Jets next season. And that tells you everything you need to know. Mind you, he didn't draft this guy. Okay? So when you look at this difficult decision-making, Krista, I give you Sewell at the number 2 spot. Okay? I give you Zach Wilson at the number 2 spot. Or I give you Deshaun Watson, and, we could talk about 3 first-rounders, 4, I don't know, whatever it winds up being. What do you think you want the Jets to do, and what do you think they ultimately do? Do they go for the tackle? Do they go for the new quarterback, the Mormon Mahomes, or do they trade for Watson? And with Sewell, I'm assuming, would be Sam Darnold. So he's thrown in with that equation with Sewell. Which one do you like?
For me personally, I'm all on the Deshaun Watson and bandwagon because he's 25 and we never had the opportunity to get a guy of his caliber possibly to be had. I think if you're the New York Jets and you look at Deshaun Watson, I think you have to go and try and go and get this guy. He only had 7 interceptions last year. He had 33 touchdowns. I don't want to. Every time I bring up Deshaun Watson, there's always someone that comes in my comments and say, "Oh, but look at all the money Deshaun Watson is making." At least the guy already made the big money. People underestimate the fact that if we still keep Sam, we're gonna have to pay Sam the money too. At least Deshaun, we still have him on contract. It isn't as bad. And people act as if we do get Deshaun Watson, we're not able to get all these free agents that everyone wants. And I think if you bring a guy like Deshaun Watson, if he comes here, if he wants to come here, I think you'll track a lot of top free agent guys. And that's something you guys know that's not something I say here a lot on this podcast. Is I always argue with fans saying that money doesn't always buy the best free agents. Like you can get guys like I don't know how to say, like you might get guys like CJ Mosley, not to take away of his caliber of his talent, but I know he's a very talented player, but we saw CJ Mosley kind of take off this year, unfortunately. But yeah, I think if you get a guy like Deshaun Watson, you can recruit guys like Allen Robinsons and the guy of those calibers, but possibly offensive line, and maybe that will attract a guy like Joe Dooney, who they claim that's not even close to a deal with the Patriots. I think you'll see a change of free agents is wanting to come here because I think guys will want to play with Deshaun Watson. Now, I like Sal a lot, but I think with Sam Darnold, I don't think you're going to get the same results. Like, I don't think you're going to get Allen Robinson willing to come here. I think if Allen Robinson doesn't get tagged, I think he goes somewhere else unless we get it Deshaun Watson. That's something else that I really like about getting a guy like Deshaun Watson because he tracks more credibility, if that makes sense. If you're
Sure.
telling free agencies, oh, we're keeping Sam, oh, maybe we'll draft Zach Wilson, maybe we'll draft this guy. There's a lot of unknowns to getting a guy like Zach Wilson. I'm a huge fan of Zach Wilson. I like him a lot. I think he fits the scheme a lot. I also like the possibility of possibly getting Justin Fields as well. I warmed up to the idea. But I really, really would love if we can get Deshaun Watson if the Texans were dumb enough to trade him, because it also depends on what the Texans do. They're making a lot of moves that it's starting to get Deshaun Watson really, really mad. But I know at the end of the day they have the decision whether to keep him or not. But I think for me, number one is to get Deshaun Watson because he just makes the team better overall. I know someone's going to come in the comments, you have to give all these picks away. But at least I know I have my franchise quarterback. At least I know he's already paid. I don't have to worry about, well, what if Sam has one good year and I have to pay him or this and this, that. I already have my franchise quarterback. That's already half the battle won. I think for option number two for me is to restart the rookie time clock and draft a guy like Zach Wilson. And the reason why I go with Zach Wilson is because I see what the Baltimore Ravens are doing with Orlando Brown and how that whole thing is going down and how he's unhappy. I like Sewell a lot. I think he's going to be a very, very good offensive line, but I don't want to cause the tension of him being like, oh, I'm here to play left tackle, and I don't want to move Bakai back then. I don't want to cause that kind of drama because I've seen what Orlando Brown's tweeting on Twitter. I'm a left tackle, this, that. And I don't want to get in a controversy in a few years. We draft this good offensive lineman, and in a few years comes out and he said, you know what, I'm not happy playing right tackle. I always wanted to play left tackle. I want to be traded. I don't want to Orlando Brown type situation. I'm not saying that Sewell's that type of guy or anything, but I just want to avoid that type of controversy. And I like Sewell. I'd be very, very happy if we were to pick him because I think that straightens our offensive line. And you're telling me that if we could get Sewell on one side and Becton on the other, whew, that would be a very, very good offensive line. I'd feel good to know that whoever's playing Sam Darnold playing quarterback's going to be well protected. But I really honestly have my doubts with Sam Darnold. I think he's a good guy. I just, it's just tough because I think for me, I think that decision for the New York Jets now that we have a new head coach is to go the rookie quarterback route. I really, really like Zach Wilson. I like his mobility. I like his arm. I don't care what Roddy White's tweeting on Twitter, bashing my dude, Zach Wilson there, saying that he's not mobile and all this stuff, and that he lost
What?
the Colts to Carol. You didn't hear that rant of Roddy White that he went on a whole tangent saying he's not
Does this look like a
mobile.
guy who's not mobile? I mean, I
Some
don't
tweets.
under.
That's what Roddy White's saying. He's like, it's a whole new thing. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Roddy White talks out of his butt sometimes, but he has this whole thing where he's like, I don't want no quarterback on my team that lost the Colts to Carolina. He went on a whole tangent on Twitter saying I want my Falcons to draft that dude, and I'm here tweeting. You know what? You know what? I'll gladly take him off your hands, Mr. Roddy White, because I like his mobility. I like his swag. I don't care if he has a 3-car garage, like some people like to rant on Twitter about a stupid 3-car garage. He could have a 3-car garage in New York. I don't mind. Yeah, I like the swag. I think he'd be great under a LaFleur type offense. He's able to move. I think he'd be great with Mims, and that was option number two. And if I have to go with option number three, it's not unfortunate because Sewell's going to be a very, very good offensive lineman. I like his toughness. I like his mean streak that he brought in Oregon. I get why he opted out and all that. Don't hold it against him, but I just have some hesitation for him higher on my list because I just need that proven guy at quarterback. I'm just sick as a Jet fan saying what if this guy, and I fall flat in my face. And if someone told me here you could have a franchise quarterback right here, just you could have him, just trade it. I'm gladly taking the proven guy. That's why Deshaun Watson's my number one pick. Number two, I'm going with Zach Wilson because I think it's so attractive to restart the rookie time clock and be able to build around him. He's in a cheap deal. You're able to build around him, and you have your rookie coach, you have everything. And number three, I'm going to go with Sewell because I still have my questions about Sam Darnold learning a different playbook. I don't know how Sewell's going to take possibly going to right tackle. I don't know if in a few years going to come down the line if he might be like, you know what, I really want to play left tackle and this, and I don't want him to demand a trade or anything like that, like we're seeing with the Baltimore Ravens. So that's probably what my 1, 2, 3 list looks like, and for those reasons.
Yeah, and when you look at Zach, I mean, you look at these highlights of him throwing the football. One of the things I really like is his body mechanics. He doesn't have a slow delivery. Like, he really gets the ball out of his hand when it's time to throw it. It comes off really, really nice. It looks like he has nice touch on his deep balls. And I like his athleticism. He's always kind of like leaning forward, looking to throw the ball down the field. I like his body mechanics and how he throws. It like he puts his shoulder into the throw. I really like it. I think he would be a great addition in the type of offense that they're going to roll with the New York Jets. And I mean, we're yet to know exactly, but we're looking somewhat of what San Francisco likes to do. I'm assuming what you saw over there the last few years, and I have no doubt that he could do that. I mean, you look at some of the plays that he's making, and one of the things that I like is that, listen, this is a throwing league. This is a deep ball throwing league. You need to have guys who can throw on the edges, and you look at a lot of what Zach Wilson does, and he throws over the middle deep, and he throws on the edges deep, and I really like to see that. And you see his athleticism here. All you need to do is get on the outside, give your receiver a chance to get the ball. Like, you look at that last touchdown there that he threw to the tight end in the back of the end zone. Like, he knew the personnel was out on the field. He put the ball up in a place where only his guy can go up and get that ball. Like this highlight right here, you know, you're like, oh, here comes a broken play. He's going to have to throw it away on the edge. And then all of a sudden, when he gets there, he kind of puts it up. You're like, what is he doing? And he knows his personnel. He knows his guys in the back of the end zone. Everyone's staring at the tight end. No one's looking back at the quarterback. And I just like what he's able to bring. Like, you look at, that's a standing throw, guys. Like, that's not easy to do. That's not him, you know, in a drop back coming up. Like, that's him on his back foot. That's him flat trying to throw the football because he's got pressure in the middle. And he could just throw the ball. He just kind of flicks it out there. And I just think that he would be a great fit for the Jets. But you look at, if I'm going to have to go and we're going to put this in 1, 2, 3, I'm going to start with Deshaun Watson. I mean, obviously you start there because of the amount of talent and the production that you've seen in the NFL. Here's the other thing that people aren't really talking about, and I think that we need to get a full grasp of this with Deshaun Watson. If he's traded, his yearly cash is only $10 million. So that first year when he comes over in that contract, that is not a killer. Now, you're going to have to pay Sam this year. Then you're going to have to pay him $25 million next year if you pick up his option. So you're talking about over $30 million you're going to pay Sam Darnold over the last 2 years. So if you bring Deshaun Watson and you're only paying him 10, and then you're paying him 35 that second year and so forth. So within that 2 to 3 year span, that 2 year span, you're almost paying Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold just as much as you would pay for Deshaun Watson. Because remember, Sam's going to get that 25 mil. He already has that. What does he make now? What was it going to be? At least what? How much does Sam make? Someone figure that out for me. Tell me how much Sam makes this year. You look at those 2 years combined, and you look at Deshaun. You're talking about $10 million more to have an elite quarterback in Deshaun Watson. And so when you look at the fact is, we talked about this before on Jets Guru. Would you trade Jamal Adams and some secondary picks to get Deshaun Watson? Almost everyone says yes. Well, that's what you're doing. Then once you get Deshaun, you're paying him just about as much as you would for Sam Darnold. So, I mean, and then when we've already talked about this on Jets Guru before, when you get to Deshaun Watson's third year, the last first-round pick that you have to probably give away to the Houston Texans, it shouldn't matter that much. Because to be honest with you, by year 3, Deshaun Watson with the Jets, if they're not making a heavy run in the playoffs, then they have failed. And so what I'm saying to you is the first-round picks are great. But to me, they're a little bit more valuable if you draft a quarterback. So that's why I go Deshaun 1, because the Jets draft history is not great. And are you telling me that over this draft and next draft, there's going to be a player that the Jets are going to pick that are going to be as better than Deshaun Watson for a team that's always looking for a quarterback? Chances are probably no. Might happen. Chances are probably no. And so all the signs are pointing this way. I think that people say when you have to give up so much, thank you, Shane, I appreciate it. So $4.7 million. So you're talking about $30 million just about for Sam Darnold. You'll pay $45 for Deshaun Watson in a 2 year span. That's not too far off from an elite quarterback to a guy who's rated last in the NFL. Last, mind you, okay? Now, moving on from that option, because I think the Jets have a real good chance, because the longer this goes on, people say it's better for the Texans. I disagree, because from what they're saying and from what Shannon Sharp reported is that he's willing to sit out. And so they need to make a move. They cannot wait. And if you could get the Jets' second pick, you can get a brand new start with a new quarterback. You got a new head coach, you got a new GM, whatever it is, and you could start building it up, refresh it. But if you sit on this, it's going to take value off of the board. Okay, we already know the reports he wants to play somewhere else. We already know the reports that the Jets are something he would give the thumbs up to if they were able to figure out a trade that worked. So you're losing value the longer you wait, and it helps the Jets. And the one thing I know about Joe Douglas, and whether you think that Sam Darnold should be the quarterback or not, let's be honest with ourselves. Do you really think that Joe Douglas is going to give away the house that he doesn't feel comfortable with? Because all the moves that I've seen Joe Douglas make over the last 2 years now have been pretty good moves in drafting and picking up free agents. He's really won more moves in his short tenure here with the Jets than he's lost. And I can't see him. He's a value guy. He's not going to go out of value and give up value where it doesn't fit. And so and when you're looking at LaFleur, here's another thing, right? Maybe they don't make the move because LaFleur and company want to guide a quarterback. I mean, you want your own quarterback, right? It's very, very important to these people. I can't tell you why so much. I just want whoever gives me the best chance to win. But it's very important that these guys put their stamp on things. And if you bring a Deshaun Watson over, you didn't necessarily draft him. He was an already made commodity. So how good are you as an evaluator, right, moving forward? And so these guys like to get their guys in, let them grow, and then they say, look, I drafted Patrick Mahomes. I drafted this guy, and he did well under my reign here. And so I could do that for you at another organization, or I deserve an extension because of this, right? And so it puts more pressure on you as a GM to find the pieces now for Deshaun Watson, because now it's like, I have Deshaun Watson. Now, what do I do about it, right? How do I get it to the point where it's not Houston Texans East, okay, where he puts up huge numbers, but we still lose games because we don't have a good enough team? Well, the first start was finding a guy like Robert Saleh, a guy who has a good defensive plan, a good defensive scheme, and lets his coaches work. He's going to be the real true head coach of this team. If that works, that's a start, right? Because we saw when Deshaun actually had weapons and the defense played well, they were up on the Chiefs until Mahomes pulled some of his magic. And I don't think any other quarterback in the world could have came back in that game except for Mahomes. And who went on to win the Super Bowl that year? It was Mahomes. You could have a legitimate discussion that if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, that you would see Watson being the one ascending. And sometimes that happens. You get Michael Jordan, even though you might be Patrick Ewing, even though you might be Charles Barkley, even though you might be Shaq, there's still a guy above you. And that is what Mahomes is. And so, you look at a guy like Watson, he doesn't get a lot of shine. But don't get it twisted. Just because the Texans won 4 games, I guarantee you, and we talked about it, why all the players apologized to him, because they know in between the lines, Deshaun Watson is a true baller. Okay. Now, the second one I would go with would be Zach Wilson. And the reason why is because the Jets have to be smart here, guys. We talked about on Jets Guru, the AFC is getting tougher. The quarterbacks are getting deeper, and you don't want to bury yourself. And you definitely don't want to be a team that once again is looking for a veteran quarterback because you don't have a young guy and now your team is ready. The Jets don't need to be in that position any longer. If you stay with Sam Darnold and you miss and you get rid of Sam, you're still searching. And not only are you searching, you don't have the number 2 pick anymore to pick the best quarterback in the draft. So you might be getting the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the draft in a weaker quarterback draft class next year than there is in this one. And so maybe you don't find your guy there. Now you're talking about year 3 of Saleh. And now the defense is ready to go. Maybe you even have a running game and you don't have a quarterback to lead the ship. You sputter in veteran kind of hell, finding guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick and company to come save you and hope that he goes on a magic run. That's not what the Jets need here. The Jets, and here's another thing. LaFleur is going to be a hot head coaching candidate moving on in the future. LaFleur is going to be. You want to get your young quarterback in the building, installed in this offense, and rolling for the next 2 years, because when someone comes a knocking and he leaves, you don't want your quarterback room in shambles. Remember, Saleh is a defensive head coach, not an offensive head coach. And remember what Saleh said. The offensive coordinator will call the play. The defensive coordinator will call the plays. So essentially, Saleh is not putting this offense in this team. It is LaFleur. So he will be the mastermind of this team. If he leaves in his 2nd year or his 3rd year, he could be leaving us in a very bad situation if we haven't found a quarterback yet. And it will have nothing to do with Robert Saleh, just the inability to find an offensive mind and a quarterback. And you will be sputtering out of control. These are all real things that can happen. You bring in your young quarterback now, you install offense day one, year one, year two. By the time LaFleur starts getting offers, serious offers where he's going to leave, because remember, if LaFleur builds up a quarterback with the New York Jets, he's going to have offers everywhere because no one has been able to get a quarterback to roll with the New York Jets. And so he is going to be in high demand. The Jets can only say no so many times. So if you draft a Zach Wilson, he comes in year one, year two, same offense. By year three, he should be able to hold the team up a little bit more. And so if LaFleur does leave, the new offensive coordinator that comes in will bring probably some similar concepts, and they'll probably discuss with Zach Wilson what he liked to do in LaFleur's offense, and they can have maybe a healthy marriage, and you can kind of transition into the next stage of your football team. But like I stated before, if Sam works, then hey, it works. Mm-hmm. And then you re-sign him on that 5th year, or you give him a bigger year deal, an extension for another 3-4 years, whatever it is. But if it doesn't work, you're really scrambling around and you're hoping that your coaching staff stays in place long enough to get a guy in here, get him coached up, get him experience, and get him in an offense that fits him, or you're going to be scrambling for another quarterback for another 4 to 5 years. This is a quarterback draft class, okay? There's a few guys in this draft class that 1 or 2 or 3 are going to pop long term. The Jets have to get their hands on one of them if they're not getting Deshaun Watson. And finally, number 3, just like Krista, Sewell and Sam Darnold. Listen, people could say what they want. It's a different situation. Sewell already played right tackle before. Becton already played right tackle. I keep telling you guys, the money difference between a left tackle and a right tackle in free agency long-term contracts is different, okay? And so you don't want to mess with people's money. You drafted Becton because you had all the confidence in the world that he was going to be your left tackle for the next 10 to 12 years. And all he did was show you really good play for a crappy football team and a quarterback that was regressing and a head coach that sucked. And he still shined and provided you a light moving on in the future. You now want to take the number 2 pick when you have holes all over the field, okay? And you can't get a superstar for him, and you're going to move him to right tackle for Fant, who is a good enough right tackle to play. When you look at the list of needs for the New York Jets, right tackle is like 7th or 8th, okay? Not first and not second. And so you maybe piss somebody off, you mess with their money long term, okay? And just because somebody plays right tackle doesn't mean they're some kind of subservient player to the left side. You know, the left side is a dynamic place to play, but so is the right side too. And just because you played left tackle doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be good on the right side. You might have a dominant side as a player, and that's something that needs to be talked about as well. So me personally, I don't want to do that move. Why do that? You already have a left tackle. You don't know if you have a quarterback yet. To me, if you almost start the season with Sam Darnold, to me, you almost have to think about an extension long term, because you have to give him everything, because you cannot have Sam Darnold fail under any circumstances if you bring him back next year. He is going on his 4th year. He will no longer have any rookie mistakes tied to him. He will be expected to perform day one. And so you have to give him everything, and giving him a contract extension it's putting your job on the line, but it's giving you an opportunity to give him the best of everything if you're going to do that. But you don't have to do that with those other 2 options. Those other 2 options are going to help you either way, because even if you draft Zach Wilson at 2, you're still going to have the 23rd pick. You might trade Sam Darnold, get a late first rounder. Boom, that's another one there. Then you have all your mid-round picks. Then you have 2 picks next year, right? And so let's say Zach Wilson didn't work out for some reason. Just the same excuse that everyone gives with Sam Darnold. Oh, we'll just build around Sam. You could still do that. If you select Zach Wilson, that's 1 pick. You still have all those other picks to surround around the team. So even if he didn't work, at least you have those picks. And then at the end of the day, And I really, really do believe this. And I truly believe that when you don't draft a guy, when you look at game tape, you're looking at it a little bit more critically. You have no skin in the game. You have nothing. You didn't draft this guy. You didn't bring this guy in. You came in. You saw him for 2 years. He didn't wow you. You got a new head coach, new offensive coordinator. You get the number 2 pick. You have all the money in the world to surround around him. You have a chance to get a superstar in Deshaun Watson. There's just too much. There's too much pushing into the start over train. And while Sewell would be nice, to me, you could have a way more dynamic opportunity for this team by either trading for a franchise quarterback or drafting one and letting LaFleur get his hands on him with no hangups. You don't know Zach Wilson's ceiling. I kind of know what Sam Darnold's ceiling is going to be. He's never going to be Deshaun Watson, and I will put money on it. And if anybody would like to, I'll start right now. Sam Darnold would never be as good and never have a better career than Deshaun Watson. And so when you're in this game and you have these opportunities that are very rare, few and far between, and you have all the resources to get it done and still look good. Because remember, you can get rid of your second round pick, your second pick, your 23rd pick, your first round pick next year, or even keep your first round pick and get rid of the Seattle one from next year, and then another first rounder the year after. So you could still keep most of your middle and your late round picks in all the drafts and still keep your first round pick either this year or next year, your later one. And to me, you trade Sam Darnold, you get another second round pick, you get a new quarterback, and you get extra pick compensation. Man, I just really think that when you break it down, you look at the tape, us Jet fans, we've had arguments about Sam Darnold. I rep Sam Darnold for the longest time, but to me, the third year is really the biggest year. The third year, transitioning from the third to the fourth year for me, when watching a quarterback, tells me everything I need to know because I've seen it time and time again. And you don't have to win a ton of games. You don't have to be a hero and be MVP, but this is a passing league. And there are stats to be had all over the field. And when you can't get them, even when you have a bad team, a bell starts to ring. And then when I see an old man who just comes off the bench and has like a week to prepare, he comes in and he makes Perryman look like the weapon we all wanted. What was Perryman doing before Joe Flacco came? He was hurt. And when he came back, what happened? What happened when Sam took over for Flacco? What happened to Perryman? Oh, Perryman is just a bum. He's a nobody. Oh, really? He's a bum? Because when he was with Flacco, I saw Flacco throwing the ball down the field, and my man Perryman was going and getting those footballs. So what kind of bum are we talking about here? Let's be realistic with our expectations and what we see each and every week on that field. When Flacco was out there, Perryman looked every bit the money that Joe Douglas spent for him. And when Sam Darnold was in there, not so much. And then when you listen to Mims in his interview and he says, well, yeah, Flacco throws a harder ball. Well, yeah, so he probably throws a deeper ball. And what does Perryman have? Speed. And what do you need to do for your players when they have speed? You need to allow them to run under the ball and get, because remember, they're getting jammed at the line. They're getting pulled at the line. They need those extra half seconds to really get there, to get on the move, and then they can get you some footballs. And what is Joe Douglas spoke about as one of his very first press conferences going into this year? We want to be fast. We want to be dynamic. We want to have big plays. Well, it starts with the quarterback position. You got to get somebody who could read the field, not lock on one receiver, and find the open guy. And when he does find the open guy, put it in a position where you know it's going to be caught by the player. One of the things that I really liked when I saw about Tom Brady in the Super Bowl was that he gave guys a lot of chances to catch the football, even like only his player could catch the football. Like no one else was going to be able to catch it. Yeah, he maybe underthrew it or overthrew it a little bit. But if someone was going to make a catch, it was going to be in that area for him. Sam has a lot of growth that needs to happen. And I think there's too much pressure for him to come for the first year of all of this, but his fourth year to step in and be a legit top 10 quarterback, because that's what you need. So, yes, Adam Gase plays a huge role in how Sam Darnold was, but it is what it is, right? It's like, oh, well, Adam Gase ruined him. So, like, I mean, he still ruined him then, and we still need to move on. I mean, listen, nobody cared when we moved on from all these other quarterbacks that had skin in the game as well. And so I believe that this is no different here. Remember, we're New York Jet fans. And so to me, I think everything is written on the wall. I do not believe in my heart of hearts, even if the Jets are bad, that they will have the number 2 pick in the draft next year or the number 1 pick. And so that will push you out of a chance to get one of the quarterbacks next year if it doesn't work and the class isn't as strong. And so there's too much writing on the wall for so many different avenues and points. It's not even funny that if you come back and you say that Sam Darnold is my guy, even though there's all these other avenues to explore, then I'm just going to trust you, right? I'm going to trust you at this point because you had to have seen something that I did not see with my own 2 eyes. If you looked at all the pathways and avenues that you could go to rebuild your program with new coaching staff, including the support of most of the fan base, right, and the media, and you still go with Sam Darnold, then there's something I'm missing, and I'm going to trust you, and your job is on the line. Because what you're saying is you saw something that no one else saw. So when it fails, it's on you. And so it doesn't matter who the Jets go with at quarterback, okay? It doesn't matter who, all right? If they say he's the starter, I'm going to trust Joe Douglas. I'm going to trust Saleh and LaFleur that this is the guy that they believe is going to take us the next step. And until they prove me wrong, until I see some mismanaged time, until I see a staggered offense, until I see all this stuff, I'm going to just trust them because I believe in Joe Douglas right now. And so I believe that he brought in the right guy. And I believe that right guy brought in the right staff. And I believe that staff is going to make the right decision on who the quarterback is going to be moving forward. And so I'm going to let them have it. But again, we got to talk about it, right? It's a show and this is what we do. And so we got to talk about it. And so those are our choices. Now, Krista, one of the things that we saw from the Jets that, we've had both good and bad is the kicker position. And the last 2 years, boy, do we need an upgrade.
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, you can't say much more. I mean, it was pretty garbage, the kicking that we've had the last 2 years, and it's hurt us. So I think it's a position the Jets really need to look at pretty fast.
So first off, I want to thank Mike McCagan for not paying my guy Jason Myers and let him walk out the door when he wanted to come back in. McCagan was like, goodbye. No, because he's doing pretty good in the Seattle Seahawks, and we had a revolving door with kickers from Chandler Carazero, Care Vederick, Sam Fickens, who's been hot and cold. The other dude that I forgot his name that we signed this year that did well, and then I called him Tank God because he just started missing kicks left and right. It's just been a whole disaster, and I don't even know what free agent kickers are available, but they have to be better than Sam Fickens. I'm sorry, Sam Fickens. I'm ready to send this guy packing somewhere. I wish the best for the guy. Just don't want him kicking for my team. I miss Jason Myers. I even miss Nick Folk right now. I have to thank McCagan for all this. Everyone wanted to blame Joe Douglas for messing up the kicking situation, but all McCagan had to do was sign our dude Jason Myers, and we wouldn't have been in this kicking purgatory because we have a revolving door and kicker. So if you know a friend, if you have a family member that could kick, a cousin, please send them to the New York Jets Florham Park area. Have them have a tryout. We need a kicker badly, preferably one that can actually see the field goal and hit between. We don't need kicks that don't make the 3-pointers. I just want someone that can actually make the kicks. I mean, I don't think I'm setting the bar that high. I just want someone to make the kicks. We can't even get a guy that does that. So it's been a revolving door with kickers. Everyone comes here. They know how much I love kickers. I bash them all the time in the show, but I do give them praise when they actually do well. So hopefully there's a new kicker, because if it's Sam Fickens, I might throw my TV out the window if it comes the 2021 season, because I have 50-50 faith in Sam Fickens. And I actually pray every time our kicker comes on that hasn't been Jason Myers, say, please make this kick. But no, we're in this kicking purgatory, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get into some fan stuff, Anthony says, could it be that Gase just held Sam back? Yeah, absolutely. That's
Hmm.
definitely part of it. That's 100% because the way that I think that he held Sam back the most is that he did not find out what Sam does best and then
Yep.
exploit it. He basically took his offense and said, "Hey kid, here you go." And obviously the offense wasn't tailored for Sam Darnold. He had more success even though it was limited success without Adam Gase. That it was more of a climbing success. And when Adam was there, it was a decline because the offense did not feature his skill set. You need an offense that takes advantage of Sam Darnold's ability to roll outside of the pocket and build confidence over time because that was one of his strengths and actually became one of his weaknesses at the end because he just couldn't make a decision. And what he wound up doing is locking on one receiver and not glancing off or looking off the safety or the backer that's trailing. And he threw some really dumb interceptions this year that I've seen from other quarterbacks. And it's hard to erase that gunslinger mentality that I want to be bigger, I want to do the best for my team. And when nothing's there, it's just these guys press sometimes, and this is what happens. And Gase definitely has a hand in that. He never cultivated an offense for his young quarterback, and that was the only reason why he was supposed to come here, and he couldn't even do that. But is it risky? Is it worth risking your career to save one man? If I'm Joe Douglas, it's not. I did not draft this guy. If I let him go, there's no harm, no foul on me. Everybody's going to see the
Hmm.
statistics, the play. Everyone is going to see the situation in which the Jets are in now, and they're going to say, I understand totally why they started over. So it's no harm, no foul to anybody but Sam Darnold, who may not get another opportunity to start for at least a year or so if he's not on the Jets, if they don't make a trade. I mean, it depends on where he goes. If I was a stronger team, I'd make an offer for him, let him sit on the bench for an older quarterback that I have, let him learn the offense for a guy that's going to be there. But if I'm another team, I mean, is it appealing to have a guy like Sam Darnold who just played on a bad team and struggled to bring him to another bad team and have him struggle? I mean, I think this guy needs time. He's never had more than 2 years in an offense. It's just a revolving door of playbooks and coaches. And so I think that if there is a possibility of him, being in this league as a starter, it's going to have to happen behind the scenes, working his way up. But if I think he's forced into a starting role, I think he's just not going to do well. And so that's just my opinion on it. Now for the kicker, let's go down. Let's get a couple more responses. Durability is always the biggest wild card. How do you evaluate that? Donald's velocity was affected by a shoulder joint issue. Watson has a history of ACL injuries. Wilson has had shoulder surgery. Hope the Jets medics have a good handle on this. No, I mean, when you talk about medics with the Jets or any type of health things, I like kind of roll my eyes because the Jets, they did some pretty bad things with
Hmm.
medical results with Kelechi Osemele the year before, and he's playing well now, but
Yeah.
so it wasn't necessarily a bad move for Mac to try to bring him over. He just needed some more time to heal off the current injury that he had with the Raiders, and now you're seeing what's happening, and obviously, like, again, could it be just because he came to the Jets? It's a possibility that could happen as well. With Watson, I don't think you have to worry about anything. I mean, he led the league in passing last year. He was a one-man show. I mean, if injuries can happen, it's a rough sport. With Darnold, it's a consistent thing. He misses at least 3-4 games a year, it seems like at this point. And, like you said, the, durability it's a big thing. And so, you also lose that with Darnold as well. And so I don't know if the AC joint really hurt his strength in his arm. He didn't really have a strong arm to begin with. Like, he'd get the
Yeah.
ball down the field, but I didn't think it was anything special or anything like that. And I think the accuracy is really what placement, ball placement for knowing who your receivers are. We talked about it even with Robbie Anderson when he was with the Jets. Like, the guy can go up and get the football at the highest point, and it just was never utilized. His speed was never utilized. I think with Sam, you see Crowder be his favorite target, and that's not by mistake, guys. That's just the
Mm-mm.
way I believe Sam Darnold sees the field. I don't think he sees the field like some of the elite passers in this league on the edges and looks for those matchups. And even when he had time, and he did have time to throw the ball, everyone acts like as if every single play Sam Darnold didn't have time to throw the ball. There were plenty of times that he had time to throw the ball as well. And I just don't think he's that type of a player. I think he would be better suited with screens, ins and outs, a strong slot receiver, very strong tight end. I think that's how you could win with Sam Darnold. And I just don't know if the Jets want to do that with the offense that they have. Maybe they do. But as far as kickers are concerned, this is something that needs to be fixed. If you're going to have a good defense, if you're going to try to keep the game close, a young football team rebuilding, you got to have a guy that can get a few points on the board, and flip the field position for you. And there's one guy that's an unrestricted free agent that I think would be excellent for the New York Jets, and that is Young-Ho Koo. I really, really believe that, 27 years old, unrestricted free agent, made about 750,000 last year. He could be had for a decent contract, but it's going to cost you a couple million because he's only 27. He had a 94.9 field goal percentage rate. He was with the Falcons, out there. And again, he kicks in better conditions, but I really do like the guy kicking the football. The Jets got to stop messing around with these camp guys, these camp special team kickers. You got to get a real guy. Another guy that you have, but he's a restricted free agent, that would be Daniel Carlson from Las Vegas, 94%. You got Cario Santos from Chicago. That's another guy, a veteran. They're going to try to bring him back. 93 percentage from field goal, 97 PAT, 910,000 affordable contract. You got Nick Folk from New England, 92%, guys. He didn't kick as many, but 92%. Ryan Suckup, Tampa Bay, 90%. He probably comes back on a cheap deal. At least I would. You don't have to go out there 800 times a game. And when you do, you should be able to make them in fairly good field position to be a Tampa Bay field goal kicker. So I think he stays. And then the list starts really dramatically dropping from there. Cody Parkey is awful. He's awful in clutch situation. If the Jets get him, I'm going to be laughing my head off. And you got Randy Bullock from Cincinnati, 80%, and Joey Sly. You really start falling off to the point of that you might as well just keep Ficken and company at that point. So really, I think when you look at the Jets kicker, you got Young-Ho and you got Santos. Honestly, I don't think they bring Nick Folk in. And so I honestly think if the Jets are going to make a legitimate play for a decent field goal kicker, it's going to be Young-Ho or it's going to be Cario, and I think the Jets should. They have money for it. You might have to spend a little bit more on a field goal kicker than you would want. But to be honest, you need a field goal kicker this year. And Matt Carlson's a restricted free agent, so I don't know what goes into that. Honestly, you look at a guy like Young-Ho, proven made, had a good year last year. Or Cario, he's had a couple good years. You need something though. You cannot roll in there, first year. I'm telling you, especially if you draft a rookie quarterback. Draft a rookie quarterback and have a lot of stalled out drives, him trying to figure it out. You want to get points on the board. You want to build momentum. I think that the Jets really need to take this seriously and really think about bringing the kicker fairly quickly because they're going to get sucked up pretty quick. And so it's a huge position for the Jets. I hate field goal kickers. I really, really do. Yeah. I wish it wasn't part of the game and that you just had to go for twos and you went for it on fourth down or you punted it. But this is the game, and they're a huge part of the game, and they have to go ahead and do it. And Joe Douglas went out and yeah, Anthony, like he said, he might go out there and get a guy. He did draft a punter, and it was the only pick that I actually got right, and he's been an excellent punter for us. And so maybe he goes out and gets a field goal kicker in the later rounds, but it has to be addressed. It has to. You cannot roll in there with another throwaway camp guy that's been recycled. This is an important year for the Jets. But with that being said, man, we're past our time. If you guys could do me a favor, if you could share the show right now so other people could watch it, give them a chance. We don't curse. We don't talk politics. It would really help us out. We're trying to push, get to the next level, get some more player interviews, be able to get things that help the show grow and get better each and every week. And that starts right here with you guys sharing the show, supporting it, watching it, talking about it, liking it. And I want to just throw another shout out to you guys for reading all my write-ups throughout the week. It's just, I get a lot of support from all of that, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. But enjoy your weekend, Valentine's Day. Get yourself a special someone out there and have some fun and be safe. And thank you guys so much. Take care. Have a good night. JETS, 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 Jets.
hear go get the money. So I go get it. Hate means I do something right. So I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear go get the money.